Hello, Gabriel here. Just going to do a quick guide for what the hell? Quick guide for setup guide for Wales, which doubtless will apply for Dirt 4 as well. If you hear any weird noises in the background, that's my puppy going bloody. I don't know what he's scratching his back on, like radiators under my bed. He's just going crazy. Anyway, nope. Bad boy. Right, so we'll just go through the things and talk about what you want to think of about when you're coming to each of them. So first off, brakes. As per usual, I put them towards the front because I find that, you're going to do the majority of your braking in a straight line, as with anywhere. And when you put it towards the rear, I tend to find that the car is prone to oversteer too easily, and when you've got it at the front you can still use it to turn in if you just are a bit more light when you try to turn in, if you're a bit more light on the brakes. So they're on the front. Play around with brake strength, drive a shakedown, drive in a straight line, nail the brakes, see how much you can get away with. Or also be aware though that sometimes having it too high means you have a tendency to overbrake. So if you have them lighter, you might find having less brake strength, you might end up actually going faster because you're not braking as much. Front differential, I have like so. It works for me very well because the front the front wheels, because whenever you put the throttle down, the weight transfers to the back of the car. I took a lot of the percentage out here. I think I'm going to put it up just a little bit actually, because the weight goes to the back of the car, and the you don't need to be putting so much power through the front wheels. I took it down on driving lock, so that means that my turn in is potentially better, and with less no chance of understeer. And then braking lock I put quite high, because when you brake, the weight transfers to the front of the car and loads up on the front wheels. So we want lots of braking traction on the front. Preload, difficult with this one. I'd say keep it highish on the front. What are you doing, you crazy animal? I'd say keep it kind of high on the front. Mid to well, it's tough. Basically, this says it can improve mid-corner traction if you have it higher, and on the front tyres, that's great, because that's turning traction. That's what the front tyres do the most of. So play around with it, see what feels good. But that's the logic I'm applying here. Loose differential as per usual, because basically it just means that you can drive the car more like a track car, and when you put it on strong, you tend to just put down more power than is available, than traction is available, than the traction levels can cope with. So I'll just explain this one more time, just in case people don't quite understand. When you do this, you're capable of putting down loads and loads of power. Basically, when you're going around a corner is when it's most noticeable. But this also means that you're more prone to wheel spin. So when you have it this way, it means you're less prone to wheel spin, and you gain more traction going around corners. So, seeing as you spend most of your life in a rally car turning to some degree, that's very helpful. Torque bias, I put towards the back because oversteer is better than the potential for oversteer is better than understeer, the potential for understeer, and it's in line with my rear differential settings, which is quite a high driving lock percentage. So I'm capable of putting down quite a lot of power through the rear tyres when I put the throttle down. So we had a high braking lock on the front, low on the rear, because the rear tyres don't do too much braking. I might just up it a little bit just now. Preload again, play with it. I mean, this is the Citroen C4 that I'm doing this for here, and that has quite a lot of traction, so you could probably get away with a fairly high one. I'd advocate definitely normally a higher preload than a lower preload, but you know, like I've said before in other videos, please be my guest and do that. You know, see what happens when you do that, and then see what happens when you do that, and then decide which characteristic is better for you, and then you know how much. Gears, just did a gears video which seems to be well received by you lot. I mean, that gears video pretty much applies to this as well, where you know you don't want to max out too early on the longest straightaway of any location, but you also don't want to max out too late and have a totally useless sixth gear, and first gear is obviously quite long, so not too much to say about that. See my gears video if you haven't already. Ride height. See if you can. I mean, basically, you actually want this to be as low as you can at all times. In fact, I might just sneakily lower that while we're about it. Ride height, we basically want to be actually as low as possible, but sometimes your hands are tied. I mean, in Finland, I'd always advocate having a high ride height, just because you know you go over a big crest and you land and you don't want to bottom. You know, this is the simplest way to stop yourself from stop the bottom of the car hitting the floor and you know eventually having a damaged radiator or whatever. So play around with it. See. You know, go over the biggest crest in the location that you're at, and remember, you know, oh, at this ride height, the floor hit the car, and that wasn't good. So you know, do you need to put it up if that happens? Spring rate, again, something to play around with. I'd say I'd advocate on looser surfaces, having it more to the left than firm, but equally I'd advocate not to have it too soft, because basically think of this spring rate as being how rolly the car feels. I mean, anti-roll bar obviously comes into this as well, but spring rate really is very noticeable. If you've got, you know, the softer this is, the more like a bloody boat your car's gonna handle, as opposed to you know, you want it softish so that when you put the throttle down and you're braking and you know you want to get weight transfer, you want to be able to get the traction out of it and all that. You know, you want the weight to come down heavy on your back right tyre when you're powering around the left-hand corner. But equally, you don't want it to, you know, feel like a boat and feel like the car isn't, you know, you're not able to, it's not responsive, you know, you're not able to turn it left and right easily. 10 spring rate, just play around with that one, not much to say about it, frankly. Anti-roll bar on wheels, quite soft. The grip levels here are, I mean, light gravel. That's basically what Finland is entirely, and Finland is quite slippery. So when you see light gravel, you want to be thinking, how much traction can I get out of my anti-roll bar? But again, be careful, because the more to the left this goes, the more likely you are to so imagine I'm coming around a corner and I actually oversteer a bit too much on the exit, and then what might happen is a load of weight loads up on the right or back right part of the car, and then when I turn it again on the throttle, it will just snap on me, and you'll just you'll just swerve out to the left. God, Theo, what was that for? You're gonna kill my audience's ears. Camber angle. Basically, in the modern cars, you've got so much stability to work with, and you spend, your whole life turning, that you want loads and loads of corner grip. So, there's basically no reason not to max this out, frankly, in most of the modern cars. If you're having stability issues in maybe some of the older cars, then by all means bring it down a bit, but really only a bit. You should never have this below 150, frankly. Toe angle, frankly, I've got it at -12 just as a bit of a cheat, because I don't want to go into a huge explanation about this right now, but basically this, or this is acceptable. I wouldn't ever advocate having it beyond that. I mean, frankly, if you can get away with having it like that, that will be perfect. And if you want to know why, try driving a stage when it's like this, and then try driving a stage when it's like this. Oh, like this. And then try driving a stage when it's like this, and you'll see what I'm on about. Damping, I'm lazy with damping, probably shouldn't be. How embarrassing. Basically, adjust this. I just adjust this for whatever ride feels most stable. Particularly around bumpy and jumpy sections. That's about it. And I mirror it on the front and rear, because it seems to make, it just seems to make sense that way. I don't know what to say about that, really. Ride height on the rear is the same. Spring rate the same. Tender, blah 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 blah. That should be like that. Don't know why that's like that. But again, with toe angle on the rear, if you're struggling and you want to make your life easier, you can put this one click to the left, and it will keep the rear end in. These toe angles on Dirt Rally, you're basically sacrificing straight line speed for ease of driving. When you put this toe angle to the left, when you put it to the right, you're basically making it so the car will kind of rotate better. I probably could have explained that in the first time, but I'm too fucking stupid. Okay, so that's my Wales setup for Citroen C4, but totally not specific to the C4. All the ideas and things that I've talked about, there's no reason why they won't apply to other and older cars, so just don't restrict this just to thinking that it's just for the Citroen C4, because that is not the case. Anyway, I hope this helps someone. Any questions, comment below. Any video requests, comment below. If you want to give me any money, send me a private message. That was a joke. Okay, see ya. Bye.